It began with an uneasy twist in my gut the night of her bachelorette party. I chalked it up to typical pre-wedding nerves. At the time, I had no idea it was a sign, a cruel warning of the heartbreak that would follow. As the evening wore on and the alcohol flowed like water, I couldn't shake the sense of discomfort building inside me. Her phone kept vibrating over and over again, lighting up on the table beside her. I tried to ignore it. I told myself not to be paranoid. But eventually, curiosity got the better of me. What I saw when I glanced at her phone turned my entire world upside down. There were messages, dozens of them, from her boss. Some were explicit. There were photos, too. Videos. Intimate, graphic moments with other men. I felt sick. My hands trembled as I scrolled through the stream of proof. Each image, each word, felt like a blade slicing deeper into my chest. How could she do this? The girl I'd loved since we were teenagers. The woman I was just days away from marrying. Her betrayal was total, and it was devastating. I knew then that I had to confront her. I needed answers. I needed the truth. I just didn't realize that conversation would mark the beginning of a much darker chapter in my life. "Hey, everything okay?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside me. Her phone buzzed again in my hand as I held it up. Her eyes widened in alarm. She lunged forward to grab it. "Oh, it's nothing. Just some friends messaging about the party." I forced myself to stay calm, even as my pulse thundered in my ears. "Then let me see. It must be important if they're messaging you this much." She hesitated. Her fingers quivered as she unlocked the screen. For a split second, guilt flickered in her eyes before she quickly replaced it with a forced smile. "It's really nothing. Just some silly texts and jokes," she said casually. But when I began scrolling, my blood turned cold. The words glared back at me like silent accusations. "This doesn't seem like a joke," I said, trying to control the tremor in my voice. "Want to tell me why your boss is asking to meet you at this hour?" All color drained from her face. She opened her mouth to speak but couldn't form the words fast enough. I didn't give her time. I already knew. "I think we need to talk," I said quietly. The betrayal pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. About what's really been happening behind my back. Confronting her was the most painful thing I've ever done. Watching tears stream down her cheeks as she scrambled to defend herself was like watching someone twist a dagger in my gut. She begged for forgiveness. She claimed she couldn't remember any of it. Said she was drunk. Said someone took advantage of her. But I knew better. This wasn't a single lapse in judgment. It was a pattern. A secret life she had carefully kept hidden from me. The thought of her being with her boss, the messages, the videos, the other men, it made me nauseous. Even though she pleaded and promised to change, I knew I couldn't stay. How could I ever trust her again? How could I look at her and not see the woman who had broken me? So, I packed my things. I didn't scream. I didn't curse. I just moved with quiet pain, like someone tending to a wound too deep for stitches. Each item I folded felt like another piece of our shared life being buried. As I headed for the door, she clutched at my arm, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please don't go," she cried. I turned to face her, my heart aching. "I can't stay. Not after what you've done. I need time. Time to figure out what happens next. Time to breathe." "But I love you," she wept. "I made a mistake, and I realize that now. Please, give me one more chance." I wanted to believe her. I wanted to hold her and pretend none of this had ever happened. But I knew that would only be a temporary fix, a band-aid over a wound that would never fully close. "I need space," I said softly as I stepped out into the cold night. "Maybe we'll talk again someday, but not now." And with that, I walked away, from the woman I had once planned to spend my life with, unsure if I'd ever be able to forgive her. The days that followed were hell. Loneliness consumed me. Grief sat heavy on my chest. Every thought circled back to her. Our memories echoed in the empty spaces of my life, haunting me like ghosts. I missed her more than I could put into words. So, when she reached out again, this time filled with regret and longing, I was torn in two. Part of me wanted to run back into her arms, to pretend the betrayal hadn't happened, to find comfort in the familiarity of her love. But another part of me knew better. Some things, once broken, can't be fixed. Still, I felt myself being pulled toward her, like a moth drawn helplessly to the flame. "I miss you," she whispered over the phone, her voice barely audible. "I know I hurt you, but I can't stop thinking about you. Can we talk, please?" My chest tightened at the sound of her voice. The memories, both beautiful and bitter, came crashing back with force. "I miss you too," I admitted because it was the truth. "But that doesn't erase what happened. It doesn't change the pain you caused." "I know," she said, her voice breaking. "And I'm so sorry for everything. I'll do anything to earn back your trust." Her words struck deep, pulling at the part of me that still loved her. The part that wanted to believe in second chances. But trust, once shattered, is hard to rebuild. And I wasn't sure if I had the strength to try. "I just need time," I finally said, my voice thick with weariness. "Time to figure out what I really want, what's right for both of us." There was no anger in my tone, only a deep exhaustion. "But for now, we should stay apart." As I ended the call, her words lingered in my mind like an echo, seductive, sorrowful, and dangerous. It was like a phantom hovering in the room, whispering promises and regrets, tempting me to fall back into something I wasn't sure I'd survive twice. But I knew better. I had to be strong. For my own sanity, for my healing heart, I had to silence the song of her apologies and keep my distance. Then, out of nowhere, someone else's story reached me. A friend opened up about her own heartbreak, and it shook me to the core. She told me how she had discovered her husband's affair. It had happened before their wedding, at his bachelor party. The moment she shared that with me, I felt as if the universe had folded in on itself. Déjà vu hit me hard. Her words echoed my own nightmare, dragging me back to the moment my world collapsed. As she spoke, I saw myself in every word she said. She had loved him deeply. She had trusted him completely. And like me, she was left to gather the broken shards of her faith in someone who had betrayed it. But unlike me, she hadn't decided what to do next. She stood on the edge, unsure whether to jump or walk away. She was still wrestling with the sting of betrayal, uncertain whether love could ever be stronger than what had torn them apart. "You're telling me he cheated on you too?" I asked, the disbelief raw in my voice. She nodded slowly, tears glimmering beneath her eyes. "I found messages, photos, from his bachelor party." I felt like the ground disappeared beneath me. My heart ached for her. Without thinking, I reached for her hand and gave it a gentle squeeze, a silent gesture of shared sorrow. "I'm sorry," I whispered, barely holding my own emotions in check. Her pain was mine. Different faces, but the same kind of betrayal. "I just don't know what to do," she admitted, her voice unsteady. "A part of me wants to believe he can change, that we can fix this. But another part of me wonders if the damage is already too deep." I nodded slowly, the weight of her words pressing down on me. I understood that war, the one between love and disappointment, better than I ever wanted to. "I wish I had the answers," I said, my voice low. "But all I know is this. Sometimes, the best thing we can do is choose ourselves, no matter how much it hurts." We sat in silence after that, both lost in thought, staring at the invisible cracks in our futures. Would we be able to forgive the people who hurt us? Or would the past forever haunt what could have been? Only time would tell. Then, just as I was learning to breathe again, life threw me another curveball. I found out I was pregnant. The news hit like thunder, shaking the fragile ground beneath my feet. Suddenly, every decision carried twice the weight. I couldn't afford to make choices fueled by emotion or desperation. There was another life to think about now. A new soul who would be caught in whatever future I chose. Still, the temptation crept in. The idea of reconciliation whispered seductively in my ear. Maybe we could still make it work. Maybe the baby could be a new beginning. But even as that hope flickered, I knew the truth. What we had was broken beyond repair. The foundation had crumbled, and love alone wouldn't hold it up. Standing at that emotional fork in the road, I realized I had to move forward, whatever that meant. No more looking back. "I'm pregnant," I whispered over the phone one evening, my voice barely audible. A stunned pause followed. I could almost hear the air leave his lungs. "Pregnant," he repeated, disbelief woven into his words. "But how? I thought we were." Tears blurred my vision. I didn't know how to explain the impossible emotions flooding through me. "I don't know," I confessed. "But I am. And whether either of us is ready or not, a child is coming." Another long silence. Then his voice came through again, soft, shaken, but steady. "I want to be part of this," he said. "I want to be there. For you. For the baby. I want to do this right. To be the kind of father and husband you deserve." His words wrapped around me like warmth, but I'd learned not to be blinded by hope. Not this time. Part of me wanted to believe him, to fall into the comfort of his promises. But I knew it wasn't that simple. Once trust is broken, it's never the same. "I still need time," I said at last, my voice carrying the weight of everything unsaid. "Time to decide what's best, for me, and for this baby." He didn't argue, and I didn't need him to. As I ended the call, his voice stayed with me, alongside all the fears and choices that still loomed ahead. I didn't know what my future would look like, but I did know one thing with absolute certainty. Whatever came next, I would choose with my child's future in mind. And that, more than anything else, was what mattered now. Thank you for reading this story to the very end. If it moved you, please consider supporting us with a like, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.